Welcome inside one of the factories where Nissan vehicles are manufactured and modified. Most of these factories are located in the United States. But right now, you're watching the remanufacturing of a Nissan Patrol in a suburb just outside Melbourne, Australia. Unlike typical assembly, this line is designed for remanufacturing and enhancement, combining mechanical, suspension, and cosmetic upgrades in a controlled workflow. This is the Premcar factory-backed remanufacturing program that takes new Nissan models, most notably the Navara and the Patrol, and re-engineers them in Australia to create a tougher, higher-riding, off-road-focused variant known as the Warrior. Unfortunately, the Nissan Patrol Warrior is not currently produced or officially sold in the United States. However, it is possible to have this unique Nissan Patrol imported from Australia. The Nissan Patrol Warrior by Premcar was developed specifically for Australia and its harsh conditions. It is an official collaboration between Nissan Australia and Premcar. The vehicles are sold through Nissan dealers but receive their local engineering and production work at Premcar. According to recent figures, approximately 2 million Patrol units have been produced worldwide since production began in 1951. The primary plant responsible for producing Nissan's global full-size SUVs, including the Patrol, is Nissan Shitai Kyushu, located in Kanda, Fukuoka Prefecture, Japan. The Patrol remains very popular in certain markets. In Australia, for example, more than 238,000 units have been sold over the decades. Its popularity comes from a combination of qualities: durability, off-road capability, a strong reputation built over more than 70 years, and adaptability to tough climates and terrains. The model has historically performed well in regions where ruggedness and off-road performance are highly valued, such as the Middle East and Australia. Over the decades, the Patrol has earned widespread acclaim, proving itself not just as another SUV, but as a reliable go-anywhere vehicle. This reputation explains its presence across multiple continents worldwide. Right now, you're watching a suspension modification process in which a standard Nissan Patrol is being converted into a Warrior. Nissan supplies the base vehicles such as the Navara and the Patrol as standard production models for the program. The vehicles are transported to Premcar's production facility in Melbourne, where they move through a planned remanufacturing and conversion line. This is a controlled engineering process rather than a simple set of dealer add-ons. Premcar installs and integrates all mechanical, suspension, and interior upgrades and carries out full engineering validation. The company also matches Nissan's warranty terms for the converted vehicles. Once the work is complete, the vehicles are returned to Nissan dealers for retail sale or customer delivery. The entire program is available exclusively through authorized Nissan dealers in Australia. The Warrior program brings several major upgrades. Ride height and ground clearance both increase, with the Patrol Warrior sitting about 2 inches higher than the standard Patrol. The suspension is retuned and re-engineered by Premcar to suit rough Australian conditions, ensuring improved control and durability. The vehicles also receive a wider stance and larger all-terrain tires, such as Yokohama Geolandar on the Patrol Warrior, to boost traction and toughness. All chassis systems and safety technologies, including Nissan Intelligent Mobility features, are fully retained and integrated with the Warrior upgrades. Functional hardware improvements include stronger recovery points, an updated tow bar setup, and additional underbody and towing refinements. Each model also receives its own distinctive touches. For example, the Patrol is fitted with a bespoke active bimodal exhaust, specialized interior trim with Warrior badging, Alcantara and leather accents, and unique exterior finishes and options. Each Nissan vehicle spends about 1 day moving through the Warrior production line. At full capacity, the facility can process up to 32 Warrior-type vehicles per day. For the pickup-based Navara Warrior, reports indicate that the full transformation requires more than 10 hours on the assembly line and passes through roughly 9 workstations. This doesn't mean a vehicle receives 24 hours of continuous labor. Instead, it enters the line, progresses through the stations during the next shift, and rolls out later the same day as a completed Warrior. One of the most interesting aspects is that Premcar retains all original Nissan systems, including drivetrain, electronics, and safety features, while integrating the enhancements. This is the Nissan Frontier manufacturing process. This mid-size pickup truck is assembled at the Canton Vehicle Assembly Plant in Canton, Mississippi. Its engines and other powertrain components come from the separate Detroit powertrain plant in Detroit, Tennessee, which you will see later in this video. This Made in USA approach helps the Frontier avoid import-related tariffs or supply chain delays that can affect foreign-built competitors. The production journey starts with raw materials, including steel and components, and then proceeds through stamping, bodywork, painting, assembly, and final inspection, following a standard modern automotive steel-to-wheels process. What you are seeing now is the sealant application process. In car production, sealant is a chemical material applied to joints, seams, and gaps in the vehicle body. It prevents water and dust entry, protects against corrosion, reduces noise and vibration, and strengthens the vehicle's structure. After priming, automated robots or spray booths apply the base coat, which is the colored paint, followed by a clear coat or lacquer layer that protects the color, adds gloss, and improves resistance to weather, UV rays, chips, and wear. The average time to build a vehicle in Nissan's US plants is around 20 hours from start to finish, from the beginning of assembly to being ready to ship. Most parts for the Frontier are sourced within North America, reducing reliance on overseas shipping and helping with efficiency and parts availability. Assembled in the US, the Frontier benefits from stable pricing and is relatively insulated from international trade and tariff fluctuations, which is especially important during periods of global supply chain uncertainty. US manufacturing supports thousands of jobs in Mississippi and Tennessee, from assembly line workers to the support and supplier network, contributing to local economies and industries. The Canton plant, where the Frontier is built, is part of a broader US manufacturing network by Nissan North America, which has produced millions of vehicles across the country over decades, reflecting Nissan's long-standing investment in American automotive infrastructure. This is the Smyrna factory, where production begins in the stamping section of the factory hall. Right now, you're watching the stamping of body and white parts for the latest Nissan Pathfinder. This factory is located in Tennessee, USA. In this part of the production process, raw steel sheets are stamped or pressed into body panels, such as hoods, doors, and body sides. The Smyrna plant began assembling the Pathfinder for the US market starting around 2004. It is a major US production site for Nissan, building several SUV and crossover models, including the Pathfinder, as well as the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Murano, and Infiniti. The Smyrna site is a full assembly plant and also includes stamping and body shop operations to support vehicle production. In the stamping process, large coils of raw steel are fed into powerful presses that shape the metal into body panels such as hoods, doors, and fenders. These presses use dies to form precise shapes, often in multiple stages, before the panels move on to the body shop for welding and assembly. The body and white stage is when all the sheet metal parts of the car, such as doors, roof, side panels, and floor pan, are joined to form the complete car body frame. At Nissan Smyrna, this process involves welding, fastening, and structural joining techniques to create a strong, rigid frame. As of 2025, the plant, which produces the Pathfinder along with other models, reached a milestone of 16 million vehicles built. Pathfinders built in the US at the Smyrna plant are typically considered domestically built, which can be important for buyers interested in US manufacturing or specific trim and content levels tied to American production lines. US production means that engines and powertrains may come from related local facilities or align with US supply chain streams, although exact sourcing depends on the model year and configuration. The plant is substantial. According to the latest data, Smyrna has a capacity of up to 640,000 vehicles per year, making it one of the largest automotive assembly sites in the US. Since Smyrna produces several models including SUVs, crossovers, and sedans, building the Pathfinder involves integrating it into a mixed model production line, which requires careful coordination of stamping, body assembly, the paint shop, and final assembly. This is an inside look at the Nissan Deckard powertrain assembly plant located in Tennessee. The Deckard plant is Nissan's major powertrain facility. The plant footprint is very large. Its site covers hundreds of acres, and the facilities comprise around 1.1 million square feet or more of covered powertrain production space, depending on expansions. It serves as the engine and powertrain backbone for many US-built Nissan and Infiniti vehicles, supplying 4, 6, and 8-cylinder engines and electric motors for some models. The plant is capable of producing 950,000 engines each year, along with 1.1 million crankshaft forgings annually. The plant also handles critical upstream tasks such as casting, forging, machining, and final assembly of engine blocks, crankshafts, and other components. Construction of the Deckard plant began in March 1995, and production started in May 1997, initially building 4-cylinder engines for vehicles such as the Nissan Altima. Over time, the facility expanded several times. In 2000, it had a capacity for 6 and 8-cylinder engine machining and assembly. In 2006, Nissan invested to add large-scale crankshaft forging operations to the plant, installing a 6,500-ton forging press, reportedly the largest forging press in Tennessee, which allows Deshure to produce crankshafts on site rather than sourcing them abroad. Later, casting operations for cylinder blocks were also added. So many of the core engine components are made from raw material to finished parts in one integrated facility. By performing casting, forging, machining, assembly, and testing all in one facility or tightly coordinated complex, Decherd reduces logistics overhead and improves quality control. The plant is capable of producing a wide variety of engine types, including 4, 6, and 8-cylinder engines, and has expanded to electric powertrain components, giving Nissan the flexibility to respond to changing market demands for gasoline, hybrid, and electric vehicles. Supplying engines to major U.S. vehicle assembly plants in Smyrna, Tennessee, and Canton, Mississippi, keeps supply chains shorter, helps meet built-in-America demand, and reduces reliance on overseas engine shipments. As one of the largest private employers in Franklin County, Tennessee, and a major manufacturing anchor in central Tennessee, Decherd has contributed significantly to local employment, the economy, and supplier networks. The previous collaboration with Daimler shows that the plant can be leveraged beyond Nissan's own lineup, which may be an asset for future partnerships for electric powertrain components or other collaborations. The plant is not just a basic assembly shop, it is a fully integrated powertrain facility. This means many workers have specialized jobs, including casting, forging, machining, final engine assembly, and testing and durability validation, such as hot firing engines. Because of this breadth of tasks, Decherd is often described as the largest and most diverse powertrain operation in the United States. Over the years, the workforce grew significantly. By the time of the plant's 10-year anniversary in 2007, it reportedly had around 1,200 employees building 4, 6, and 8-cylinder engines. The plant does not only build traditional gasoline engines, it also builds e-motors for electric models, showing a shift and adaptation to electrification as the auto industry evolves. Deeside is the sole US-based engine production site for Nissan. Every US-built Nissan model that uses a gasoline engine relies heavily on Deeside for its powertrains. Unlike many engine factories, Deeside performs hot fire testing. Engines are filled with fluids connected to a stationary dynamometer and run under load to verify compression, timing, noise, vibration, and emissions. All US market Nissan Rogues are assembled at the Nissan Smyrna assembly plant in Smyrna, Tennessee. During the body in white stage, robotic arms perform thousands of spot welds, structural adhesives are applied for stiffness, and panels are clamped in precision jigs for exact alignment. The Rogue body is mostly assembled using high-strength steels to reduce weight and improve crash performance. Before 2013, the Rogue was imported from Japan and South Korea. Starting in 2013 for the 2014 model, Nissan shifted most Rogue production to the US. In some years, up to 85% of the global Rogue supply was built in Tennessee for North American markets. The Rogue quickly became Smyrna's highest volume model, often surpassing the Altima and Pathfinder in annual output. In peak years before the pandemic, production reached roughly 300,000 Rogues per year, which is extremely high by US standards for a single model line. Not counting the time in the paint shop, final assembly from bare metal body to finished vehicle takes roughly 6 to 8 hours of assembly line time, plus additional hours for paint, curing, inspection, and testing. The plant runs 2 or 3 shifts depending on demand. The Rogue's engines are built at the Deeside powertrain plant about 60 miles from Smyrna. The Rogue is not built on a dedicated line. It shares line space with other Nissan vehicles such as the Pathfinder, Murano, Leaf in earlier years, Maxima until 2023, and the Infiniti QX60 depending on the year. Cars roll down the same line in mixed sequence, which is an example of flexible manufacturing. The stamping process is one of the very first steps in building a vehicle at Nissan's US manufacturing plants. Nissan receives high-strength steel in enormous rolled coils from US steel suppliers. These coils can be up to 6 feet in diameter and weigh several tons. They are delivered on a just-in-time schedule. The steel is unrolled, flattened, cleaned, and prepared before entering the stamping line. Before a Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, or Altima ever reaches the assembly line, its body panels start as massive coils of steel weighing several tons, which are transformed into precise structural components by the plant's stamping operations. Nissan uses large, multi-station stamping presses known as transfer presses or tandem press lines. These machines are several stories tall and apply thousands of tons of force to shape the metal. Each workstation progressively forms the panel. First, the steel sheet is cut to the shape needed. Next, the main shape is pulled into a die, forming the basic contours. Even a slight error in a stamped panel can cause misalignment in assembly later. Nissan uses optical measuring equipment, laser sensors, CNC machined dies, and computer-controlled press timing to ensure precision. To improve crash performance and fuel efficiency, Nissan integrates advanced steels in key areas. These materials are harder to form, requiring stronger presses, heated dies in some cases, careful lubrication, and slower forming cycles. The Smyrna and Canton stamping facilities often operate around the clock. Stamping is one of the few departments that runs 3 shifts, builds inventory ahead of final assembly, and supplies multiple Nissan models at once. Today, the NS Altima is built exclusively at the Nissan Smyrna assembly plant in Smyrna, Tennessee. Since 1992, over 6 million Altimas have been assembled in the United States. It is a cornerstone of Nissan's U.S. sedan lineup and a key product for the American market. This plant is Nissan's largest North American manufacturing site, one of the highest output vehicle plants in the United States, and capable of building over 600,000 vehicles per year across all models. The process starts at Smyrna's on-site stamping plant, where massive steel coils are unrolled, flattened, cut into blanks, and pressed in multi-stage stamping presses. Major Altima body panels formed here include fenders, hood, doors, roof, trunk lid, floor pan, and body side panels. High-strength and ultra-high-strength steels are used throughout the chassis structure. After stamping, panels enter the body and white shop. This is where the Altima's body shell is assembled using hundreds of robotic welders, structural adhesives, laser measurement systems, and precise positioning jigs. Altima production volumes vary from year to year based on market demand. These are general ranges based on U.S. factory output and Nissan reporting. In 2021, production was about 200,000 units. In 2022, it reached around 210,000 units. In 2023, production was approximately 180,000 units. In 2024, it is expected to be in a similar range, depending on supply chain cycles. Smyrna is one of the largest private employers in Tennessee. The Smyrna assembly plant employs over 7,000 workers, while the nearby Desherd engine plant employs more than 1,600. The workforce includes stamping technicians, weld robot operators, paint specialists, assembly technicians, maintenance crews, quality control inspectors, and logistics and material handling teams. Many employees work 10-hour shifts, often on rotating schedules. Smyrna has a strong apprenticeship and training system. Teams are divided into zones, each responsible for specific operations on the line. The plant encourages worker-led improvement suggestions, saving millions through increased efficiency. Workers rotate tasks to reduce fatigue and improve safety. The plant also has its own medical center, cafeterias, and on-site fitness areas. The Nissan Altima is built exclusively in Tennessee, assembled using advanced robotic welding and stamping, powered by Tennessee-built engines, produced by thousands of highly trained Nissan workers, and is one of the most important sedans in the U.S. market. The Altima's wiring harnesses, including the main cabin, engine bay, and rear chassis harnesses, along with sensor connectors, are fed through the body by workers and secured with clips and grommets. At this stage, workers install all interior components, including carpeting, center console, door panels, roof headliner, seats, interior trims and safety covers, and airbags and restraint systems. By the end, the cabin is about 70% complete. Once a Nissan vehicle completes its final inspection at the assembly plant, it enters a large and carefully coordinated logistics system designed to move new cars quickly and safely to dealerships nationwide. The process involves a combination of rail transport, car carriers, and ship loading for export markets. Some US-built Nissan vehicles, especially the Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, and Altima, are exported to North America, the Middle East, and other regions.